Hey guys, this is Comics G-Man here again. Gonna talk about the Fantastic Four Ryan North series, back to that. And I'm gonna go straight to issue number 12. Not much to say here. It was a good issue, but, nothing in depth. All I said here was, I would like to know what they were smoking when they made this issue. Pretty damn goofy, but kind of fun in a way. I mean, Dinosaur Avengers. The Iron Man long neck was pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, literally the best part about this issue was that they made Iron Man a Bronchiosaurus Rex in another dimension, universe thing, multiverse thing, because the multiverse was like, it was like coming at the same exact time as ours, and it was colliding. Some bullshit, whatever. So issue number 13, same thing, not much to say. I said it was another funny issue. I never thought seeing Dr. Doom standing on a T-Rex version of himself would be so amusing, but it works here. Leave it to the Thing to outsmart the two Dooms. Yeah, so it was just goofy shit. That's all I got to say about it. Dinosaurs. So, issue number 14, I gave it a 10 also. Well, this comic gives you an idea on how the Fantastic Four would react to the likes of Sam Altman, Zuckerberg, and that whole AI overlord crowd. Makes me wish the FF was here to save us in real life. Yeah, I actually like this issue a lot. This one is a bit more serious because it kind of tackles some modern day issues. It starts off with they're going to where the Baxter building was, and there's like 12 hours until it comes back, and they find like these people are like doing weird shit around there. And if they stay there, it's going to mess up the Baxter building coming back. So they got to find out what's going on. They find out these goofy-ass female villains are there because they're doing like some kind of app. What do they call it again? MetaMind? Yeah, MetaMind, where MetaMind rewards you points for interacting in real life and doing things in real life. So it's basically like the opposite of what social media is doing today. How it kind of incentivizes us to just be more to ourselves. But obviously the MetaMind thing, it's more than that. I mean, they go to the guy who created it. His name is Passy. And I mean, he goes on a whole diatribe and about what his creation, the MetaMind, is. And he's basically just controlling everybody with smartphones, with the AI. And he's setting them to a goal that he wants. I can't really go too into it because it's a little wordy, but it makes a lot of sense. And it kind of talks about the whole AI issue of today. And I think what I liked the most about this issue was the Fantastic Four's reaction to it. So there's a part where MetaMind is they find out that MetaMind is when they tell Passy well, why are you making your MetaMind fuck with our site where the Baxter building is? You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna almost get our people killed who are coming back. And he's what do you mean? I'm not telling MetaMind to do anything with that. And he looks at the computer and he starts freaking out, and he doesn't know who's doing this. And Reed is helping him do it. And literally, I love this part. As Reed is helping him figure out who's manipulating MetaMind to do this, he's behind his back, destroying the MetaMind that Passy created. And then he tells Johnny to burn it all down. And I like this a lot. I like that a lot. It's simple, but I think if the Fantastic Four was actually here in our times, I think they would kick Sam Altman's ass, they would kick Zuckerberg's ass, and they would pretty much wreck their creations to save us from their bullshit. But here's where it gets really interesting. Issue number 15 is a continuation of the MetaMind concept, but it goes a little more in depth. Literally, I mean, it's kind of cool. Even the Alex Ross cover of this issue, well, I don't know if the single issue looked like this. It just shows this on the trade paperback I'm reading. But there's a brain chasing the Fantastic Four, and all these people are running after them. It looks really cool. I like that B-movie 1950s look. Looks really good. So I wrote here, another banger here. The China brain is a great and weirdly terrifying concept that seems close to reality. Starting off with a flashback of the 60s, the comic shows two unnamed men, most likely US government agents, describing a China brain consisted of humans being the living neurons of it. Clearly, this historical callback makes one think that the Nixon administration enriched China just to use them as guinea pigs for the China Brain project. So, let me be more specific here. You go to the first page, and you got these two guys. It's black and white, set in this setting here. This is when you do flashbacks in the past, right? Not some bullshit Western story like in that Superman thing, or one story you're going to see in one of the issues in the Fantastic Four. This adds to the story. This adds to what's going on. This is how you do it. So they're talking to each other, these two guys in the glasses. So the guy here says, "A fantastic premise. Suppose everyone in China, all billion-plus humans, have each been given a two-way radio, but these radios are special. They only let you talk how a neuron would talk, only send messages that a neuron would send. Of course, folks are excited about their new toy, so they soon begin to communicate using their radios. And so without them even realizing it, China has functionally transformed into a gigantic brain." The other guy responds, he says, "The China brain. It's a fascinating philosophical thought experiment, and the focus of your research, Dr. Holliver." Holliver says, "Indeed, of course. The question is, would such a brain be alive? Could it think, reason, feel? More fundamentally, is there something special about neurons, or can you build a brain out of anything? Our China brain has all the criteria of a mind: sensory organs, inputs and outputs, and internal states being changed by those inputs, or autonomically, by thought alone. The only difference is, here, every neuron isn't a solitary and mindless nerve cell, but a complete human being. What would such a brain think like? And more importantly, what would it want?" So like right there, dude, that setup was awesome. Like that was like a great movie setup. I loved it. So then you get like kind of an inner dialogue of the meta brain, the meta mind, which is the China. It's not even the China brain anymore. It started off as the China brain because the US government started off using the Chinese as a guinea pig. Clearly, that's what this comic is saying. But over time now, to our time, to modern times, it's a world brain. Like it's connected to everybody now. Everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody's connected to the AI. So this is really cool. But it has a mind of its own, is what they're saying. And Reed, it's like it's screwing with them. It's the meta mind is the one that made the Baxter Building. It was trying to mess with its teleportation to coming back to New York, but it was doing it because it's afraid. It's afraid that we're not going to understand it. Yada yada yada. And it does this weird thing where like it's talking to Reed through all the different citizens walking by them that are on their smartphones, and it's like they're all a part of the hive mind. Like Reed will be walking down the road, and one guy will be saying to him like, "Oh, well, what are you doing?" And then the next citizen would walk by and finish the sentence for MetaMind. So like, I mean, it's a little like really campy sci-fi stuff, but like it's kind of cool, and it's a pretty cool metaphor of what the AI is like today and what they're doing with it. So I like that they played around with that concept. But the twist is, it doesn't even work out for MetaMind. I didn't write this in a review, but what I thought was pretty cool was that guy Passy that they dealt with in the last issue. He ends up fucking killing the MetaMind because he doesn't want it to become, I guess, his competitor or whatever. And Reed believed that it was a new life form, and he didn't want it to die. But Passy slowly kills it, and it's like dying slowly. And it was pretty cool. Now, I personally don't believe it's another life form. I think it's just an imitation of it. I think it's just imitating the idea of life. So you can't actually be a life form if you're just imitating life. I don't know what other way to say that. But this issue definitely made you think about a lot of cool concepts in one. So this is where the Fantastic Four really shines, when they could squeeze all of these strange ideas and these out of this world, well, not so out of this world because it's pretty relatable now, but they could do it all in one issue like that. That's where it really shines. So let's go on to issue number 16. Was not much to say. I said not as good as the last two issues, just a corny and lighthearted way of getting used to the Fantastic Four's children that are now back. So yeah, they came back. The kids are now back. They're trying to adapt to life now. They're going to school and everything. It's okay. It's a little goofy. They do all these things to be like, oh, well, let's really knock the socks off our teacher and not just do the regular homework assignment. Let's figure out to actually do this scientific thing that has never been accomplished in human history. And they get into trouble and they do all this goofy stuff. They go into space to try to get rid of the fatal liquid that they created, blah, 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 all this bullshit. It was okay. I guess the only reason for this was to fill in that the kids are back. That's it. So nothing to write home about. Issue number 17, I wrote down here, hold on. I said, I really love these weird sci-fi stories, especially when done right like this. Pretty cool to how this issue literally references an old story all the way back to 1963, when Sue and Reed were facing off Rama Tut in the prehistoric past. He goes back to kill off the first European nomads to get rid of the entire future of Europeans, because, you know, the Fantastic Four has European roots. They literally say this in the comic. I'm not making that up. It's pretty cool shit. Obviously, Reed and Sue trick him in a really ingenious way. You can even thank Alicia, the Things girl, because they use Braille at one point to communicate with each other to avoid Rama Tut from figuring out their plan. So I gotta say, the art really juiced up for the better in this ish. Absolutely beautiful work here. So yeah, what happens is, like the cover shows you a dead Fantastic Four guy being dug up like at an archaeologist site, which is already kind of cool. And they find it, and they're like, wait a minute, what is this? So why is there, first they don't know who it is. First they say that how could a European be at the nomadic era like this? It doesn't make any sense. And then they look more into it, and they find a residue of the suit, of the Fantastic Four suit. So then they try to figure out, well, who was this who died? And then they figure out it was Sue who died. Why did Sue die, and how did she end up in the Paleolithic era or whatever? So they do all this cool stuff trying to figure it out. And it turns out that at one point they were going back in time on some kind of romantic trip. Sue was trying to show Reed the prehistoric era and man walking around at that time. And as they were doing it, they happened to come in line with Rama Tut trying to do one of his villainous schemes, which was to kill the first European nomads to walk the Americas. So they come up with all these cool ideas. They can't stop him no matter what they do. This guy keeps... Oh, and Rama Tut, by the way, is Kang. But this was before he was called Kang. So that was also very cool. But they're trying everything. They can't stop him. There's even a part where Reed comes back with a ray gun that was designed to stop time travelers like Kang. And he's like, well, this is going to kill you, Kang. I'm going to have to kill you. I got no choice. It's either that or billions and billions of people are going to be genocided by you. It doesn't work. It's a trick. Rama Tut tricks them, and he turns the gun on them. And it's like he literally turns it on them. And they turn it, it's like that Green Goblin scene in the Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movie where he throws the bomb at those guys at the balcony and they fucking turn into skeletons. It was like that. Rama Tut turns into skeletons. Well, did he actually kill them? And how is it that we could go back and it shows that they're still alive trying to figure out how to stop him? Because the ray gun is specifically designed to kill time travelers. Well, they created two fake versions of themselves that looked like them, had their body mass and everything. But and Sue was invisibly behind them holding the two fake bodies. So that's the skeletons that they find in the future. And then how do they figure out that it wasn't actually Sue's skeleton that they found. It was a fake body that the previous Reed and Sue put to fool Ramatut. Well, she finds some kind of braille with it. That's how, and then it's, oh, okay, so we were safe after all. It was no big deal. Kind of cool. I like this. Very clever. I gave it a 10. On to issue number 18. I wrote here, I really enjoyed this, and I now understand why the Fantastic Four movie First Steps had a weird cosmic baby. Hold on. Here we go. I said here, what the hell? Sorry, I just, the page got messed up. I said that is their son Franklin in the movie, but at this point in the comic, he's a teenager who only uses his cosmic powers once a year secretly. The difference between this Franklin and the movie one is no one knows of his cosmic powers this whole time yet. I actually prefer this version over how the movie handled it. The movie is still garbage, even more so after this. And apparently his future self came to him one time, but that must have been in a previous saga I didn't read. But luckily this issue kind of filled in some of the gaps. So yeah, like they're showing you he uses his cosmic powers to figure out how to like protect his family, because he looks into the future and sees like when they're almost going to die or had these close death scenarios. One scenario is like an asteroid is coming to hit a town, and like the Fantastic Four goes to try and stop it, and they're like going to die, and he figures all these ways to change the timeline and so they don't die. But it happens anyway, right? But they don't die anyway. They figure out something else, and he's like, well, why didn't it happen this way? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. The story wasn't anything to write home about, but 18 just had some good art, had a cool asteroid coming to the town thing, and the Fantastic Four figuring out how to stop it, and they did some really cool shit with that. Number 19 sucked, gave it a 6.5. I said this was a slog to get through, had to force myself to finish this ish. I know the noir 1950s setting was here because the Trapster villain used the cosmic cube to create this false reality. But God, I can't stand when comics go back in time in this fashion. I hate it when they go to the Old West or this. It bores me. If I want to read stuff like this, I'll find a comic that focuses on that, but I don't like it when it infects the whole comic like Fantastic Four. Like, unless you do it like the China Brain flashback that I talked about earlier, where it adds to the story and gives it some cool lore, fine. But if you're going to do an entire dumbass comic like this, like Alicia is like this detective sleuth, and Ben is like her bodyguard, and they're just so boring. I hate when they do this stuff. Issue number 20. Now, issue number 20 was great. I gave that a 10. I said I love this issue, funny, sweet, and a good way to show the dynamic I thought was missing in the new movie between The Thing, Ben, and Johnny. Working as cashiers because, well, The Thing, let me just say Ben, because I keep saying The Thing. It's kind of annoying to keep saying that. Ben and Johnny are working as cashiers because the money of the Fantastic Four has been frozen in New York, and the whole family has to live out in Arizona at Aunt Petunia's house. Ben and Johnny are both working at the same job at Foodtopia. I like this a lot because they were competing with each other and being like petty children. What brought them back to their senses was some tabloid punk journalist ragging on Johnny and saying how he has fallen from fame to minimum wage. This pissed off Ben and made him go off on a great rant defending Johnny and making the tabloid journalists look like a total ass. Ben did this in his classic rough verbal fashion and didn't act like a total wussy like he did in the new movie. These are two bros through and through. I loved this ish. And you know what? I'm actually gonna show you an example of why I like that so much. Let me just get that issue real quick. It's even got a funny cover with Ben and Johnny out in front of the grocery store. Hi, my name is Ben. I think that was really funny. But I'm trying to find that scene here. I'm just skipping over the crappy one. Where is it? Yeah, so like, look, this tabloid guy comes in. He's talking to Johnny. Johnny's about to leave. And he's like asking him all these questions, trying to make it like he's a joke now, you know? So the journalist is like, let me just start with this page. He's like, Mr. Storm, Chet Owens, reporter. Can I get a picture? Ask you a few questions? Sure, man. Always have time for my adoring public. Great. So how are you enjoying life in Arizona? Quite a change from New York City, huh? Oh, for sure, but honestly, it's great. There's good people everywhere, and I'm always happy to help. The Human Torch is on your side. Where do you live? Here? Just with my sister and her husband, Sue and Reed, and also with Ben over there, and Alicia, that's his wife. And each couple has a couple kids too, so 4 total. All 9 of you, is it? In the same house? Yeah, the money ran out in New York City, and Ben knew a place that had been empty here forever, so off we went. Bit of a squeeze for sure, but we make it work, and honestly, I love it here. I just love life, you know? And now you work as a cashier in a grocery store, minimum wage. I mean, I just started, so yeah, incredible. Hey Chet, why are you writing down so much? And then he goes on. He says, listen, Johnny, I like you, I do. And I know it's not always fair how the tabloids have treated you, but I'm a journalist, and this is a hell of a scoop. Former teen heartthrob and global superhero Johnny Storm's all grown up, and he's broke? And he's run out of town, out of the state, out of half the country, and he's squatting with 8 other people, including children, in an abandoned house in God knows where, Arizona, scrapping by on minimum wage? How the mighty have fallen, huh? Well, it's Ben's Aunt Petunia's place, so I don't think it's squatting, right? Do you pay her rent? Well, no, and what's going on with that mustache? As a reporter, I gotta ask, did you lose a bet, Johnny? No, I love it. People love it. Honestly, though, if the cashier thing doesn't pan out, doesn't that mustache mean our readers can look forward to you doing exotic dancing? But it's not like that. And then the reporter's walking away, and Ben puts his big fucking rock hands on his shoulder, whump. And he says, now you listen to me, Chet. You want to know about Johnny Storm? Because I'll tell you about Johnny Storm. You're in the presence of one of the best men I know. The kind of guy who'll give you the shirt off his back if he thinks it'll help. You mocking him for what? Working to support 2 families of which he ain't even related to? This man is a hero. He's saved plenty of worlds, including ours, more times than I can count. And he's good, and he's decent. And you know what? You know what, Chet? If Johnny did do any dancing, he'd bring the house down, and you know it. Ain't no shame in earning an honest living. And you want to know the worst thing about that damn mustache? It works. It accentuates his cheekbones. It tells you he's fun, and it tells you he ain't afraid of what anyone else thinks. It tells you he's him. I apologize to you both, and now I'll be on my merry way? That what you're trying to say, Chet? Or maybe you're trying to get out that if you ever have anything else to ask Johnny from now on, you'll have to ask it to me first. 'Cause I gotta say, bud, for your sake, I really hope that's what it is. Whoa, that was incredible. Johnny says to the thing, I love you, bud, but breathe a word to this to anyone and it's curtains. Yeah, of course. So like, look, I read that because I'm just trying to show this is how you do that, okay? This is how you do the dynamic with the Thing and Johnny. Because in the new movie, how they did it, they didn't do it like that. Like, you see how the Thing, he's sticking up for Johnny, he's sticking up for his integrity, but he's not acting like a bitch about it. Like, he's still kind of acting like a rough, like he's gonna beat the shit out of you if you don't listen good, you know? He didn't act like that in the new movie. Like, I wish I could remember the quote, but in the movie he said, don't listen to them, Johnny. You're still handsome. It was like, it was so gay. But in this is how you do it. That's how you do it. So Ryan North, I don't know what people think of his writing, but I think for the most part, this guy has a pretty good grasp on these characters. That's what I've been feeling with these issues. So let's go to issue number 21. I just said here I gave it an 8. I said I would give it a lower score because the whole vampire invasion out of nowhere is a bit contrived. But I enjoyed the beginning the most, where Reed and Alicia were in the museum having a heart-to-heart about art, and how it doesn't affect Reed emotionally because of his genius way of looking at the world. The dialogue they had in these few pages really made them feel like real people. Yeah, like, this was another great example of some good dialogue. Now, some people might think it's goofy, but I thought it gave a little depth to these two. It made me like Alicia a lot more, and it made me like Reed a lot more too. Like if you go to the page here, they're at the art museum, they're looking at the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa has been sculpted in 3D for blind people or something, so she could feel it. And Alicia says here, she says, "I'd seen the Mona Lisa before I lost my sight, of course, but I was just a girl then. I never studied her. There's no eyebrows, Reed, no eyelashes. And I get what people say about her smile. She's beautiful." And Alicia starts tearing up a little bit. Reed, he says here, "One recalls a paper in Science, I believe in volume 290, number 5495, that argues her smile is largely rendered in low spatial frequency ranges, which makes it more apparent in peripheral vision than when under direct observation." Huh, one does he? And then they walk off, and he says to her, "I apologize, Alicia. I can understand art, its intent, its purpose, but I don't feel it. You just stood in front of a great work of art and were moved to tears. I've never experienced that. No artwork has provoked any sort of emotional reaction in me that even approaches that." "Oh, that's fine," she says. And then he says, "The vast majority of popular culture disagrees with you, Alicia." "Yeah, well, screw 'em. Art's intuitive, not deliberative. It's the start of a conversation, and you bring the other half. And yet the consensus is my way is worse. Emotional reactions are seen as signs of being artistic, creative. Reed, for crying out loud, you're not broken just because you've never cried in front of a painting. Listen to a Nasher-winning sculptor when she promised you you're fine. But if you want to experience artwork more emotionally, you always can. Let it remind you of things, places, feelings. Use it as a prompt for association. Let your mind wander and find emotional connections between what you're thinking of and what you're seeing." Reed says, "That sounds non-deterministic." "Huh, that's because it is. It's a surprise. Like people are a surprise. It's magic. Well, I'm much less comfortable with magic than I am with predictable outputs from reliable inputs. But you know what? I'll give it a try next time and that's the end of that. And then the vampires come in, and it kind of loses its luster a little bit there. And yeah, so then on to issue number 22. I gave it a 7. I said, I'm glad the vampire part is over. Not really my cup of tea. The only vampire-themed stories I could tolerate are the Vampire the Masquerade games and books. Anything outside of that universe, vampires are always pretty cliche and just a form of smarter zombies in most modern media. Nonetheless, happy to see Doom come back and take credit for saving the world from them. So it should be interesting to see what he has planned. That's the end of my reviews. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Have a good one, guys.